In today's video, we will see how to grow hyacinth beans, also known as Lablab. And this bean is quite popular, but it's known by so many different names that it might be confusing to know what it really is. So this is a list of all the names that this bean is known as, and you might recognize one or two names that you might have heard. And it's also important to remember that hyacinth beans are not same as broad beans. Broad beans are grown for their seeds. The hyacinth beans are grown for their tender pods. So this is how the hyacinth bean plant looks like. It's a vine, so you need to make sure you provide a nice trellis. And the vines can grow up to 6 to 10 feet. So they're a long growing vine. So make sure you have adequate room for the vines to grow. And the hyacinth bean or the Lablab bean is a perennial, which means that it keeps growing and it doesn't really die as long as the temperatures don't go down too much. But most people still grow it as an annual. This is how the hyacinth bean flowers look like. They are a little white to purple color. They actually become purple as the flowers grow. And they do produce a lot of flowers, so they look pretty. The hyacinth or Lablab bean is a simple to grow plant. You don't need to really worry about how much fertilizer you're adding. You just need to make sure you have a well-drained soil, have lots of compost. And as you can see, it produces a lot of beans in these clusters. And once again, we are using these beans only for their pods. So what you do is, once the pods are ready, you can harvest the pods and then chop them up and use them. So it's now time to harvest our hyacinth or Lablab bean. Remember, we're harvesting them for their tender pods. So the earlier you harvest, the better it is to get that tender pod that you can cook really well. So as you can see, the hyacinth bean produces a lot of pods, and it's just so easy to grow it. And if you haven't tasted hyacinth beans, you should give it a shot. Unlike other beans that you can eat raw, hyacinth bean is a little thicker. It has thick skin, but really not as thick as the broad beans. Remember, the broad beans are grown for their pods. You shell them and eat them, but the hyacinth beans seeds are not eaten. You only eat the pods or the outer shell of the beans. So what you basically do is, after the harvest, you chop up the pods and then you cook it. You can find a lot of recipes online. It's quite a popular vegetable that is used in South Asian countries as well as some African countries. So if you look up online for recipes, you will definitely find some recipes that you can use for your hyacinth bean. But this is definitely not the kind of bean that you would eat raw, simply because it's just too thick. So that's how our harvest looks like. And as you can see, you can get a lot of beans with just a single harvest on just a single day from this plant. And this plant keeps producing almost all throughout the year. So I hope you liked this video, and if you have used this bean or are planning to use it or grow it, do let me know your comments. Maybe you call it with a different name. I would like to know your thoughts, and I'll see you again soon. Happy gardening.